we are going to study on chapter number 2, class 3 general science, that is from the second semester. The name of the chapter is safety and first aid. Okay, so by the end of the chapter you are going to learn, we are going to learn these 3 points. Number 1 is there are different places where you need to be safe. Number 2, safety habits that you have to follow. Number 3, carry out basic aid. So these are the 3 points that we are going to learn by the end of the chapter. Okay, first of all, let's start with the point accidents. An unexpected event that might lead to you being hurt is called an accident. That can happen if you are careless. When you get hurt, it is painful. It takes time to get better. Okay, accidents may happen anywhere, any place, at any time. Okay, we cannot guarantee that we are not going to get hurt or we are not going to fall down. Okay, so we have to be very careful. Okay, in every step. Accidents can happen anywhere and at any time. You have to be careful to avoid accidents. You have to follow safety rules. Okay, so we have to follow some safety rules, which is to prevent us from being hurt ourselves. Okay, then whether it might be at home, whether it might be at school, whether it might be on the road. So we are going to study the next point, that is safety at home. How you are going to be safe at home. First point, safety at home. Okay, there are some points given in your book. Let's read it out. Do not leave your books and toys lying on the floor. Someone might trip over them and fall. That means do not leave your books or toys on the floor of your house. If someone suddenly steps on the books or the toys, they might fall down or they might get cut. Okay. Point number 2. Knives, blades and scissors are sharp. They can cut you. Always use them in presence of an adult. Okay. Whenever anything comes preparing a project, you need to use sharp tools like knives, then blade, okay, scissor. For this all, you have to ask your parents, guardians, any adult. Okay, you have to take help on them. Otherwise, you should not use these knives, blades and scissors, okay, in absence of an adult. They have to be present with you when you are using that tool. Next point is playing with matchsticks is dangerous. Use them only in the presence of an adult. Always put out a matchstick before throwing it away. Okay, when you burn a matchstick, okay, you should always call an adult, okay, in front of you or near you, okay, and before you throw out the matchstick, you have to put it out. Okay, otherwise, if you don't put it out, it might create a huge fire in your home or any place. Next page. Another point. Always be careful with fireworks. They can explode and cause burns. Ask an adult to help you light fireworks. Okay, I know when children likes fireworks very much during Diwali. Okay, you love to light the fireworks. So for lighting the fireworks, you have to ask an adult. Okay, an adult to be with you, along with you, while lighting the fireworks. Next point. Electrical things are useful as they make our work easier, but if they are not used carefully, they can give electric shocks. An electric shock can kill a person. Okay, it is also a very dangerous thing. Okay, electric shock can kill a person immediately. Okay, so you have to be very careful while putting on the switch or putting the plugs, okay, in the board. Never play with plug points, open wires or electrical things. Next point, never try to taste anything you do not know about. Okay, if any person or anything which is there at home, okay, and which is dangerous and which you don't know that if you eat or if you taste it, you are going to die, or what is going to happen to you, no one knows. So if you don't know the thing, if you don't know it properly, you don't use this stuff. Last point, do not fly kites or play on the terrace. You can fall off if you are not careful. Okay, on the terrace of the building, okay, on the terrace of your house, Never fly kite or play, because if you fall down from the terrace, you might get you might break your hand, you might break your leg, or you might die also. Okay, so always be careful while at home. Always ask an adult, okay, to be along with you whenever you do such stuff. Point number 2, classrooms are not for running and playing. The corners of desks are sharp and can hurt you badly. Okay, these things you have to remember always, that when you are inside a classroom, you should not run, okay, because the corners of the desks and benches are not too much sharp, but then also it can hurt you. Next is climbing on a desk and playing inside a classroom can cause accident. Okay, the desks are tall. Okay, if you climb up on a desk and if you fall down from the desk, it might get hurt. Okay, that means you are going to meet an accident. So it is better for you not to climb on a desk, benches, and not to run inside a classroom. Next point, do not run in the corridors. Corridors are for walking. Okay, corridors are only for walking. Corridors are only for walking. Okay, the next point is safety on the playground. Number 3, safety on the playground. Okay, this number 3 point are that what are the safety measures, okay, what are the safety things which you have to follow while you are in the playground. Point number 1, while playing on a slide or the swing, wait for your turn. Do not push anyone when you are on the slide. It can be dangerous. Okay, when you are playing on a slider, okay, you should wait for your turn to go up and come down. Instead, in spite if you go pushing one another, that means you might fall down and get hurt. Next point is playing games is a lot of fun, but there are rules to be followed in every game. If you do not follow the rules of the game, you can get hurt others. Okay, you can hurt others or you can hurt yourself. That means if when you play any type of game, okay, you should play according to the rule of the game. If you go against the rule of the game, you might get hurt as well as you might hurt others. Okay. Now number 4 is safety on the road. Safety on the road. Okay. Point number 4, safety on the road. Okay. Let's see what are the rules for you to be safe on the road. Number 1, many accidents happen on the road. Be careful when you walk to school or home. Always walk on the footpath. Okay, you have to use a footpath for walking. If you go in the middle of the road, some vehicles may come and hit you, and you might die or you might get severely injured. So for you, the best thing is you have to walk on the footpath, and you should be always careful while walking on the road. Next point. If you have to cross a road, use a zebra crossing. Okay, whenever we want to cross a road, we have to use zebra crossing. Okay, and in Poilapul, okay, in our locality, we don't have any zebra crossing for that. So for crossing here, you have to look left, right, okay, 2 times, and you have to be very careful that there is no vehicle coming from the right side or left side. When you see that the road is clear, you cross the road. Okay. Next point. When you cycle on the road, keep to your left. Signal with your hand before you turn. Watch the traffic signal. When the light turns red, it means stop. The orange light tells you to wait. When the light turns green, you can go. Okay. When you ride a cycle also on the road, you have to be very careful while you cross the road. That means you have to look back, front. Then you have to use your hand, that whether you are going to turn to your left, whether you are going to turn to your right. Okay, and you have to follow the traffic light also. You have to see traffic light also. If it comes red, that means stop. Orange, that means wait. If the light is green, that means you can go. Okay. Next page, last point. Point number 5. Point number 5 is first aid. Okay. If someone gets hurt in any accident, do not panic. Try to stay calm and help the injured person. the first help that an injured person gets is called a first aid. Okay, when you see anyone, okay, meeting an accident, okay, not the severe one, small one, like if you cut your hand, okay, you should not panic, okay, you should be still, okay, you should not feel afraid, okay. So what you have to do is you have to stay calm and try to help the injured person. Okay, the first help which you give to the injured person is called a first aid. Okay, next paragraph. If a wound is bleeding, wash it with clean water, wipe it with an antiseptic such as Dettol. If the bleeding does not stop, tie a bandage. Loss of too much blood is dangerous for the injured person. Okay, when you see your wound is bleeding, okay, your hand is cut, your leg is cut, okay, wherever part of your body, okay, after that you have to clean the body part very carefully with the clean water, fresh water. After that you have to apply antiseptic lotion, okay, that is Dettol or any antiseptic lotion, whatever you find in that moment. After that you have to apply it on the bleeding part so that it might stop the bleeding. After that, if the bleeding does not stop, okay, you have to tie a bandage, okay, around the wound so that the bleeding will stop. Next paragraph. If someone gets burned, place the part of the body that is burned under running cold water. Keep it there until it stops hurting. If there are blisters, do not try to burst them. Cover the burn with a dry, clean handkerchief. Okay, if you see someone hand is burned, okay, and after that you have to put the burnt part in the cold running water. Okay, if you see some small bubbles on your skin which is coming up, you should not burst them. If you burst that, it will affect more. Okay, that means you have to apply antiseptic lotion there instead of bursting the blisters. After giving first aid to the person, ask an adult to call a doctor. Okay, right after you give first aid to the burnt person, you ask an adult to call a doctor to help the injured person. Okay, last paragraph. If the person is hurt seriously, immediately call an adult and ask for a doctor. Stop people from crowding around. Only trained people should give first aid to the seriously injured person. Okay, that means if the person is hurt very seriously, okay, and you cannot help him with the first aid, in that moment you have to call an adult which can call a doctor or call an ambulance, and he or she might be taken to the hospital for the proper treatment. Okay, so we have learned 3 things from this chapter. That is, number 1 is there are different places where we need to be safe. Okay, whether it might be on the road, okay, at school, at home, playground, okay, anywhere. So we have to follow the safety measures for our prevention from accident. Number 2 is safety habits that you have to follow in all these places. Okay. Last is carry out basic first aid. That means while giving a small first aid to an injured person, you might save the life of the person. So students, we are going to come forward with another new chapter in the next class. Thank you.
Stay home, stay safe, do it for yourself, do it for your